This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Dude, the show is going to go completely downhill if you don't applaud for me. I need rapid applause at all times. I was so hurt.
You had to see Marie's face because, oh God, we're really loud. You had to see Marie's face because she was like, I know it's the right time to clap, but nobody's doing anything.
I'm not going to be the first one to clap, he says. For those of you that are new to Wahoo Willies, this is Beach Talk Radio. We interview the mayor every Sunday about the rebuild of Fort Myers Beach. And the first thing I want to say is condolences to all the Detroit Lions fans out there. Apparently, Jared Goff went out drinking the night before the game and decided in the first half he was going to throw 2 interceptions and fumble the ball, and they got crushed by the Washington Redskins. I'll never call them.
They're not the Redskins.
No, I'll never call them the
Commanders.
Commanders. They're always going to be the Washington Redskins. I'm pretty sure Trump's going to change the name back to Redskins starting tomorrow.
Oh, good God. Here we go. We didn't even get 2 minutes into it.
The other thing I want to say is
the Gulf of America.
The Gulf of America.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I mean, come on. It's perfect. The other thing I wanted to mention was my condolences to the 20 million kids in America who have no idea what to do with themselves today now that their TikTok app doesn't work. Crazy. What's that? Did you try your TikTok app?
I don't have a TikTok. She was crying all the way down here.
And Dave just showed us his TikTok won't open. Oh, what a shame. So I need to tell a quick story before we invite Dan on. And I didn't tell. Is it too loud for you people eating over there? Because she's yelling at me that it's too loud. The show wouldn't be complete without her insulting me or yelling at me.
Somebody raised their hand.
A little
it's too
bit.
loud.
A little bit. Is that okay
it's
now?
Too loud?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is it too loud?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. There we go.
Here's Jamie after his massage. He makes the grand entrance every Sunday after he's been all lathered down, and he's got the gigantic smile on his face, like I've been touched everywhere by a wonderful looking woman. Well, not everywhere. So I need to tell this quick story because I was totally
now everybody wants us to turn it down. They're
embarrassed.
Like it's that kind of show.
I was totally embarrassed with the male race today. Like I go to the gym, I go to Crunch Fitness, which is on Summerlin on the way to the beach because it's close to the beach and they open at 7:00. And so I get to the gym, there's 10, 12 people that show up waiting for the gym to open. They got other stuff to do during the day. And they open the gym. And so I see somebody that I know that used to be a member of our gym. We owned a gym for 8 years and taught a class after that before we started doing this. And I see her, I say hello. She loads up a couple of weights on each.
It?
I'm not going to use any names today. I don't want to use any names.
That bad.
She loads up a 10 on each side of the Smith machine and her phone rings. And so she walks over to the corner to take the phone call. It's her dad calling her. So, the weights are still on the machine. Her bag is still by the machine. And so she's talking to her dad, whatever. She goes back to the machine and some guy who wasn't doing the same exercise that she was doing starts yelling at her. Like he starts calling her an effing fat pig. I mean, this is no joke. I'm not making it up. Now, I am probably the only person in the gym. Okay, yeah, that's why I didn't tell you the story before. That doesn't work out with headphones on.
All right, everybody.
I can't
all
work
my
out.
Women people, load up. We are going to the gym,
listen,
and we're going to string him up.
Listen, the guy,
Did you do something?
Let me tell the story for crying out loud.
You better have done something.
So I must be the only one in America that doesn't work out with headphones. I get distracted by music. I get distracted by podcasts. I just want to work out.
You get distracted by squirrels.
I hear some yelling on the other side of the gym, right? And so I'm thinking, what's going on? So I look over there and I see the two of them yelling at each other. And so I walk over because I know her. And I say and now I hear the guy up close calling her an effing fat pig, like, get away from me. And I'm like, dude, you can't talk to a woman that way. I mean, you cannot.
You can't talk to anybody that
Right.
way.
Okay. But he's doing it to a woman. Like, and now, first of all, don't take this the wrong way, but a lot of women are intimidated to go to the gym to begin with. They never expect a dude. Now, he was an average guy.
They
He
don't
wasn't a
expect
muscular
anybody.
guy. He was just an average looking muscle wise. So I got right in his face and I said, dude, you can't talk to a woman like that. And so he's going, she started it, the whole, now I'm like, dude, are we in high school? Like, the other thing that bugged me is that not a single other person in the gym came over and said something to him. Nobody else said anything. Now I'm waving over to the counter, which is on the other side of the gym. I said, you guys need to come over here. Of course, there's 2 18-year-old young girls that open the gym on Sunday morning. They have no idea what to do.
No, they don't
and
know
so
what to do.
I know the girl's boyfriend. He used to play college football. So now she's totally flabbergasted. She's totally intimidated. But yes,
that he was yelling at?
yes, she's
Okay.
totally, and I'm trying to talk to her.
trying
I
to
walked
figure
her
out who
away.
this is.
As I'm walking her away, he's still yelling across the gym, like vulgarities at her. And I said, then I walked back to him and I couldn't. I was like, where are you guys? There was a couple of muscleheads in the place and they were just ignoring the whole situation. And so I said to the girls, the ladies, girls, can I call them girls? They were young at the gym. I said,
people.
yeah, I owned a gym and that guy's membership would have been revoked right on the spot. I mean, you can't talk to people like that. It made no sense. He wasn't even trying to use the same machine. And so they're like, we don't know the guy's name. We don't know how to cancel his membership. And so I said, you don't want her boyfriend coming in here because it's going to be a major incident. The guy is going to crush his head with his hands. That's how big the guy is. But it made no sense to me. It's like you're watching something and it's not computing what's going on because something like this is so bizarre to see a guy. Obviously, the guy has some kind of mental issue because I could not believe what I was saying.
He's just a bully.
Now, and here's what I'm thinking. Imagine if that was my daughter or my wife or your daughter or your wife.
Your wife, I got it. It's got. There's a video out there where some girl is doing squats and some guy comes behind her and like tries to. Did you see that? Tries to like help her, and she turns around, just looks at him. 1, 2, 3, and then a kick, and he is out cold.
Nice. No, it was
cold.
just. I didn't want to start.
I'm not condoning violence. I'm condoning defense.
No, the thing too is like here's Ed Ryan trying to diffuse a situation, which is hilarious, right? I mean, but I was like, dude,
was he bigger than like?
No, we were
okay.
basically the same size. I mean, obviously, I was more fit than he was. I mean, I had more. I had a tank top.
Were you older than him?
Well old, yeah. I probably had 20 years on him. He was probably 40. But the thing is, you feel so, and I don't want to say it like this, but you feel sorry for somebody because she didn't deserve that. Now, how do you react to that? Well, what did she do? She left. So she's never going to go back to that gym because she doesn't know if it's safe. That guy was a total dick. Sure. And I'm sorry to say that when you're eating breakfast, but I couldn't believe my eyes. It's never happened in our gym. And if it ever did, it would be like crazy. It was just, the whole thing was bizarre. So I needed to tell that story. So I don't know the guy's name and I hope they do revoke his membership, but you can call Crunch Fitness on Summerlin and let them know your feelings if you'd like to.
How about some random person?
Yeah.
You need to go there every day this week.
No, I don't go to
work out and then to see if Daddy's
there. The whole thing was just, I couldn't believe my eyes. Anyway, so let's get to the guest of honor here. He's Mr. John Deere and ready to the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody, Dan Allers. Ooh, yeah, you don't need a cue to applaud for him.
Wow, he's really building a following here.
Yeah. He's not dressed to kill like he was yesterday.
Yeah, you should see me at the gym.
Yeah, well,
I'd like to see
you there. That would have been great.
I'd like to see you at the gym. Can you turn the camera so Dan's in a little bit more? The whole thing. Perfect. Yeah.
If the two of you walked over there and were like, "Hey,
Dan,
I have
can
a
you
question
imagine?
For you."
Can just say somebody was talking to Megan like that? Like
anybody?
It's just like what is going on in your life that you need to?
Well,
it made no sense to me.
There are very few things in life that get me to a point where
irate.
And one is if you come after my daughter or my wife. You
Yeah.
know, my brothers can stick up for themselves, but I'll give you the story was last year, I want to say. Megan called me upset. She was at Publix and some guy was driving his golf cart down the sidewalk, and I just happened to be coming back from Buttonwood, and she called me and she was upset. This guy was verbally harassing her because she told him you can't be driving on the sidewalk, and he had some vulgarities and he said a few things to her. So I happened to be in a bad mood that day, and I was coming down Estero Boulevard, and now that just kind of put me over the top because you just don't talk to women
Right.
like that. And he happened to be coming out of the golf cart. He happened to be coming out of his golf cart while I was coming into Publix with the trailer. So fortunately, I parked so close I couldn't get my door open, but he knew I wasn't happy. So I was leaning out and I said, "You want to talk to me like you talked to my wife?" And he and his friend didn't know what to say at first. And if I could have got the door open, I probably would have been in trouble. But so anyway, he screamed vulgarities at me, and then he raced down the sidewalk in the other side. So I turned around. I turned around and followed him. Well, thank God Captain Layler happened to call me as I was calling him. And I took the call and I told him what was happening. He's like, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't do it." He talked me off the shelf. So I turned around and went away. But I was pretty.
Imagine.
Angry.
So now she goes into her car and she calls her boyfriend,
Mhm.
who I know, we've known him. You know who he is.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So and now he's driving somewhere. You feel helpless, like you
Yeah.
now somebody feel
and
like
he's
somebody.
kept himself in football shape. I mean,
And so you just want to figure out how to fix the situation without going to jail.
Yeah.
But it's just like the first thing my father taught me that now, how many years ago was this? He's been gone for decades. You never ever say, you never pick on a woman, and you never
I
do
know,
anything to disrespect
but
a
you
woman, or
shouldn't
I
just
will
do it
kill
to
you,
anybody.
or I will kill
you
you.
just shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't.
I know,
talk
but
to
it's a
people like that.
it's a
What's wrong
way
with your
different
life?
thing.
What's wrong in your life that you got to?
It was so bizarre,
React like
Dan. I just
or
could not believe it.
children. I mean, you just
All
shouldn't
right,
pick
yeah.
on
Or you
anybody.
shouldn't shoot a shotgun at a defenseless dog, by the way.
Right.
That's another thing.
Right,
Like,
that's another one.
did you guys hear the story? How about that? $7,500. I tried to get them. We're going to talk about the event later, but I tried to get them to
She's
bring
gonna
Honey
come
down
back
today.
to the
But
gym.
yeah.
She's gonna come back to the gym.
yeah, she's not.
gonna,
Yeah, but
But I bet he might be with her.
yeah.
he said he called the girls who, again, the girls at the front desk really didn't know how to handle that. One of the girls came out and she said, "Hey, can't we be
One of
adults here?" The ladies, they were kids.
Well,
I mean,
she
they were
said
young.
That? She said, "Can't
Yeah.
we be adults?
Can we be
good for
adults
her.
here?" Yeah, and you could tell that even the employee was intimidated by the fact that the guy was just being. I mean,
But
how are two girls
But
going to
that
throw
is
him out?
when you call the non-emergency
Right.
number
You need to
and
call-
say,
right.
"You know what? You need to get this guy needs to get out of here," or you tell him to get out. I mean, we've had to kick people out of our gym.
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Out."
Yeah, one
Out you
guy,
go.
one really,
Sorry.
I thought the guy was going to kill me. One of the rules that I had in our gym was if you're lifting heavy dumbbells, you can't throw them on the ground. It intimidates women. I'm sorry to say that, but they
Well,
don't
it
want to
wrecks
hear,
the equipment.
and they don't want to hear you throwing weights around, pretending that
grunting
you're a
and the whole thing.
muscle head and the whole thing. You want it to be a place where people can feel comfortable. And I had to kick him out, and I thought the guy was going to kill me. It was just, I mean, and he could have killed me for sure because he was gigantic. But I mean, it was a bizarre thing that I'm shaking my head, and then I'm looking around at the rest of the people. There must have been 20
Maybe
people
they
at the gym
didn't hear
saying,
it.
"Are you people like? Can you see? Help me out here."
Well, it's unfortunate. I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So many people are so afraid to get involved in anything now
Mhm.
because they're worried about being sued or being on social media or. Yeah, well, I'm with you. I'd have probably did the same
No
thing.
kidding.
It's like-
Anyway, so yesterday's event was incredible. The 13th annual
There's
Putt
the
and
sheriff
Pub.
right now.
They've been out full force today.
Yeah.
On that.
Great event. You got into the act yesterday. Somebody asked me what your costume was, and I wasn't quite sure how to. What was
it
the
like-
theme?
So we were all dressed up like John Daly. Anybody that doesn't know who John Daly is?
Oh, okay. There you go. I didn't know
Somebody
that.
did say that yesterday.
He's a golfer that dresses in loud pants and colorful shirts, and he's always got a cigar in his hand, and he used to have like a mullet.
Yeah.
So we had our mullet hairs on, we had our loudmouth shorts and our bright shirts and our cigars, and and our team name was called the Daily Buzz because he's always got a cocktail in his hand. So that was our That was our.
I don't think
There
the
was a lot
non-golfers
of
picked up on
cocktails
that.
A lot of
consumed
people-
yesterday
a lot of
on
people
those, some of
recognized,
those teams.
kept saying John. A lot of people
Yeah,
recognized
no, a
who
lot
it
of
was.
people
Some people
did.
weren't quite
Yeah.
sure, but
So your wife did your little ditty yesterday, and she took a picture of you yesterday, and took a picture of you from 1976, and you looked
Yeah.
exactly.
That was hilarious.
yeah, that was.
Look at you!
That
Look
was-
at you!
No, I knew she was doing it. I didn't know she had that picture, but she showed it to me yesterday, and I said, "Well, you're going to post that, aren't you?" She goes, "Can I?"
Oh, and it was the talk of the town. Everybody was like, "Did you
That
see what
was
Megan posted
hilarious.
about Dan?"
That was
So then she made me
hilarious.
pose for a before and after picture. So
Oh, it's perfect.
it's all in good
It was-
fun.
yeah.
If you can't laugh at yourself,
Yeah,
No.
for sure. So
I laugh at him all the time.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
I
So-
wish I still had the Camaro I had back then. That
I used to have a
Was it an
Berlinetta.
IROC?
it was a '77 Z28. Yeah.
I had a Berlinetta that you had the T-top roofs with the glass in the top,
Mhm.
and I picked her up from her
Oh,
mom's
my
house one
God.
day
This was literally our first, I think it was our first actual date. So he picks me up. Now it's like the early 90s, maybe. So I have like a matching shorts and top, and I've got pumps on. You know, pumps were all the rage. So keep that in mind. So I have pumps on. He drops me off. Now he grew up in Long Island where there are regular roads. I live and grew up in the country where you don't have curbs, you have big culverts. So he drops me off. I mean, we had a few drinks. It's like 2 o'clock
didn't
in
have
the
any
morning. He drops me off and he starts to do a 3-point turn. And I'm like, well, clearly he knows like he can't go too far. And before I can get it out of my mouth, we are now teetering on the chassis or the oil pan or whatever. So the back wheels aren't touching, the front wheels aren't touching. And I'm like, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh my God, I got it. So I get out of the car. I go to the front of the car and I'm like, I'm going to lift it.
Yeah.
And then you put it in reverse.
Oh boy.
And I've got the pumps on. And he's like, who are you?
We did have to call a tow truck company
Thank
at 2 o'clock
God
in the
I
morning.
had a friend who was a tow
Yeah,
truck driver.
your mom's boyfriend at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Luckily,
He came.
Folks,
I was like, what are
I did
you doing? I was able to lift the car, but you know,
Please,
it was really
yeah.
just teetering.
so just so you know, I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Because that's how you make memories when you're first
Oh,
dating
yeah.
somebody.
Well,
you
that's
make
how-
memories that
That's
way.
how
You
you
have
know
to
it's the
make.
beginning and not the end.
Yeah.
Because it might not have been in reverse now.
No
Right.
kidding.
Yeah.
Right.
She's gonna
I
plow
was
over
up
me.
there trying to press that
Yeah.
thing in my pump. So then the next day, he sent me a dozen roses, and that was a lot of money for him back in the day because he wasn't making any money back then. And well, you weren't. You would even
Like
say
I'm making
that.
any now.
True. And he
That's
said,
why there's a cup out there.
he said something about thanks my first date for ditching me and blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
it was it was so
I had a way with words back
Yeah,
in the
so witty.
90s, in the
You're such a
early 90s.
wordsmith.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. All
why I
right.
didn't run then.
Yeah.
And then he got it stuck in the snowbank
All
one
right.
time. And I was like, do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do the reverse forward? Yeah. No, totally clueless. So
I
he
thought-
wouldn't know how to put that in 4-wheel drive either. I'm just going to say that right
One
now.
of the things she said to me before the show was she's going to stop being so mean to me. Didn't you say that sitting right here? She said
I'm
that
just
right here.
being honest.
So let me
He's
tell you.
starting to have nightmares about it.
I am. I've been taking the NyQuil and you know, because I was sick last week and I was taking the NyQuil, and the dreams that you have about your spice
Your
spouse,
spicy spouse.
when you take NyQuil, it's like she becomes a serial killer and you're the only person she wants to kill. So
that's not
yeah.
a serial
Yeah.
thing.
So so
Anyways.
listen to this, Dan. I know you
Okay,
want to
one
talk
more.
about town shit, but so listen to this. So her
I'm
mom
doing just fine.
her mom sends me a text yesterday. Now her mom's getting up in age. She's in her 70s, you know, so you don't get much time with people when they're in their 70s, and then eventually they look like President Biden, where you're blah, 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 and he's doing a State of the Union. I mean, they're feeding the guy Gerber baby food at 8 o'clock at night, and he's still giving speeches. But I'm not. And your mom's got all the wits about her, and she loves to come down. She lives in Utah, so her mom has been coming down to the Shrimp Festival. She actually, when everything was still around, we would do the show from the Sea Gypsy, and she came there one day, and Ray Murphy was there on the show with us that time, and so she likes to come down during the Shrimp Festival. So she sends me a text yesterday, and she says, when's the shrimp festival? And I said, March 8th and March 9th. Would you like me to buy you a ticket to come down? And she goes, no, that would be great. We're driving home from the Tiki Pub last night, and she's yelling the shit out of me. Like, I can't believe you invited my mother down. Now she's coming. Let me finish. Now she's coming down for a week. Who's going to hang out with her for a week? I'm like, I'm not hanging out with her for a week here. It's your mom. And then I said, all I said was I was going to buy her. Wait a sec. No, let me finish. No, I'm turning your microphone off. So I said, wait, all I said was I was going to buy her a ticket. The Shrimp Festival is one weekend. And she goes, no, I'm going to make her pay half the ticket. I'm like, well, what good is that? Well, I'm offering to pay her the ticket. Why are you punishing her? She's got no money.
I'm not punishing
She lives in
her.
a basement apartment with 19 cats.
God, you are making it sound so bad.
All right, go ahead.
So usually she comes when I'm on spring break so that I can spend time with her because all right, so if we're going to be honest here, when she comes to the house and I have to leave her at the house with you, what happened? What happened last time?
Dan, you need to go to the bathroom or anything? So one time she comes down, right? And I'm in the house, in my office.
Just to say, this whole week that she was with us at what he's going to say, I left them alone for 30 minutes. This is what happened.
So I wanted to make sure the house was clean, so I could clean the kitchen. I sprayed the windows. Now she's out, and we have a nice little backyard with a couch on it. She's out on the couch playing with a camera. At the time, a few years ago, the camera was like this big, and it had 9 batteries in it. So she's playing with the camera, and she picks the camera up. She wants to walk in the house. Well, of course, I'm a good cleaner of the windows. So she gets walking to the house thinking that now she's in her 70s. I'm laughing. Let me finish the story.
Right, but let
me finish the story. How dare you? Your microphone's off. So
she wasn't walking. She was running because I had texted her, hurry up and get ready. I'm pulling in the driveway.
All right. So she's running into the cleanest windows in Fort Myers and looking at the camera at the same time. So all of a sudden I hear the house, somebody dropped a bomb on the house, because if you have a dog and your dog runs into the windows in the back, it's loud. Now you're talking about a lady with a camera that's walking into the glass. And I walk out from my office, and all of a sudden I see the mother-in-law laying on the back deck with blood coming out of her nose. The batteries are rolling down into the pool. I'm like, oh shit, am I in trouble? Like, what do you do? I'm not giving her mouth to mouth. There's no chance of that happening. So
she didn't want that either. So she busted up her nose. She loosened up a tooth. Her lip was all split. So
how was the camera?
The camera was fine. So do I want her to come when I have to leave her alone with him? No.
So listen, this next time she came down, I put that giant blue paint tape and a big X across the back of the windows so she couldn't walk into the window.
She's a trooper though. She's like, no, I'm okay, because she wanted to go out and get wings, and she loves chicken wings. So she was like, I'm going to clean up and we're going to go. I'm like, you look like I should take you to the emergency room.
Yeah. Her lip is up this way. She's only got one eye left.
Well, on that note, it's my mom's birthday today. So
happy birthday, Mom. She watches the show.
Yeah.
Doreen Allers.
Yes.
How old is she?
What am I, 51? She's 68.
Nice. Put a big X on the window in the back when you get back to Minnesota.
I thought that story was going somewhere else, but that's funny.
So let's. I don't even want to talk about any town news. It's just depressing. No, the first thing I wanted to bring up was that for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah, for some reason, people. I don't know what it is lately with the negativity about every little thing. I kind of feel like everybody wants to be negative about every little thing. I didn't even think it was a thing. Like, you brought up this idea about a wagon on the beach or whatever it was, and it was like. And people are like, that's the only thing he's paying attention to is the wagon on the beach. He's not doing anything. I can't believe he's wasting his time on a wagon on the beach. And then we're like, you people are, sometimes you're really a-holes. I'm sorry, but you really have to. It was just an idea, and it's just gone crazy.
Well,
are you sticking with the idea? Are you retracting the idea?
Let's give a little context to it. So despite what was
I
reported,
mean, it's not like a chuck wagon that you want going down the beach, right?
Despite
With
what's reported,
horses.
you would have think I was proposing a monster truck with spiked tires to drive over bird nesting habitats, and and then we're gonna have NASCAR cars driving these things up and down and run for your life. I mean, you would think it was some kind of. It was reading some of the comments was laughable, quite honestly. So what happened? The way this came up was we were at a restaurant on the island, and 4 gentlemen came up and they introduced themselves to me. And I told this story when I brought the original concept or the idea up. I told this original story, but evidently people don't want to look at what originally brought up the story and make up their own. But so anyway, they came up to me and they wanted to introduce themselves. 2 were residents, 2 were not. And they had just finished golfing. And it was just before the start of the season. And I said, well, thanks for coming out and, sharing, your story. And they were telling me how their condo's coming back. And they're like, unfortunately, this is going to be the last time you're going to see us on the north end of the island. We're going to start going to Bonita, or we're going to go to Naples because the traffic during season is just too bad. And we can't really ride a bike. And it broke my heart, quite honestly, because I'm thinking that's sad that people want to come and spend their money on the north end of the island, but they can't get there. So just sitting there thinking, the rest of I came up with an idea. I'm like, back, and this is where the story got turned into, like, I'm trying to relive my memories for some reason. It made me think about, we used to ride on hay wagons back in Minnesota, right? I'm like, well, what if we could get something that had balloon tires on it, and not necessarily a wagon, but I used a wagon because that was but if there's something that we could use that had balloon tires, obviously it's not detrimental. It would be outside turtle season, the whole 9 yards. And we could use the beach vendors with their tractors that they already have approved. Again, it's not a NASCAR. It's not a drag car. It's not doing 100 miles an hour down the beach, driving over sea turtle nests. None of that. It was just
children. Children are not going to be injured.
So I brought it up at a council meeting to see if my fellow council members thought it would be at least an idea.
They did, by the way. They did.
Right. So that's about as far as it's gone. Staff said they'll start looking into it. They were going to draft something to see, one, what you have to do to make it legal. Obviously, you got to deal with FWC and all these other things. But for some reason, the story got reported that I'm trying to relive my Minnesota memory hay wagon, and I'm going to kill seabirds and grab your children and your sunbathers and run for your lives. And it's like, geez, to me, it's got to be a very lonely life to try to find criticism in every single thing somebody does. No one ever, those people, no matter what you do, they're never going to be happy. So
yeah. And by the
way,
way,
going to find the good in anything. And again, it's just an idea. And if I'm going to get criticized for something, I'd rather be criticized to be on the side of trying to come up with a solution to a problem versus
you're not doing anything.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, it's easy to sit
right.
behind a keyboard and complain, but
by the way,
it takes energy to do something.
He's not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Just so you guys know, when you read the Beach Observer, which is a free newspaper that comes out once a week, I think on Wednesday, they hate him. And they write stories that make him look like an ass. I don't think they like
you either, to be
well,
honest.
They don't like me either. But just so you know, you have to read certain things with knowledge of where the angle is coming from. And you can say that there were people on the council that I talked about. It's the same thing. I mean, we all have people that we like and don't like. I'm being totally honest with you, but if you read the newspaper, you need to keep that in mind. They did that for a reason. They're trying to make him look like an ass, and it was just an idea that I didn't even think was worthy of a story, to be honest with you. It was such a minor thing among you see what's going on Fort Myers Beach? It's kind of being rebuilt. And this is the one story that you think is a real story. It was asinine to me. And then people that are always negative just jump right on top of it, and it just gets completely out of control. If the idea works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Then not every idea is a great idea. I'll be the first to admit it. But usually when you start bringing up ideas, things morph into something that actually becomes a good idea. So,
yeah.
Or as opposed to sitting there and saying nothing or doing nothing. And that's never who
I don't know how many times I said to her, I have an idea. Because if you don't have ideas,
followed by I laugh hilariously.
Because if you don't, like, we come up with these ideas for fundraisers, we come up with these ideas for events. You have to have events on the beach. You want people to come there.
The tug of war thing didn't go anywhere. We had an idea for a tug of war thing.
Sometimes late at night on Friday and Saturday in the backyard, we come up with ideas that are going to change the world until we wake up the next day and they're the dumbest ideas you've ever heard.
You know, your notepad on your phone. I actually have a tab that is labeled just ideas. And when pops into my head, I write it down. Sometimes things get deleted before they come out of my mouth. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Before we move on,
I wish that could be said about him.
If you saw on Facebook this morning, I posted that I was going to send a T-shirt and some koozies out to anybody that joined the women's club today So if you're not a member of the women's club, it's only $75. They do accept dudes, so I'm a member of the women's club, and the number one responsibility that you have is they might ask you to volunteer at one of their great events like the Puttin' Pub or the Tree Festival. $75. They're trying to rebuild a building. So far, we've had 4 or 5 people sign up this morning, so you can go on the women's club, Google Women's Club on Fort Myers Beach, and if you sign up today, we're going to send you some free stuff. And you're a member for a year. This is what happened with Donia, and you see her at all the events now for the women's club. And we need to help them get
and
there.
You don't have to live on the island.
No, you don't. You can live in Ohio. You can live in Detroit.
Saskatchewan.
You have nothing to do right now in Detroit, so you might as well join the women's club. Or, you know, you can. It's really a donation. Are you a Detroit fan down there? Oh gosh.
I just have to say,
the entire NFC North has nothing to do with it.
You being a member is really coming full circle, because years ago you would be like, "What dude is joining the women's club?" And now
look at the barriers he's breaking. He was wearing a wig and a.
That's right.
I know he's going to be wearing a muumuu pretty soon. And
what's that?
The caftan.
Oh. I'm involved.
But he's still got a ways to go. I'll give you a little story. Yesterday, I walked up behind Ed.
Oh, that was
boy,
funny.
that was creepy.
He had his hand, he had his back to me, so he couldn't see me coming. So I'm telling everybody that's in the audience here, he doesn't know I'm coming. So I walk up behind him, and I've got one of those, the golf gloves on. And I walk up behind him, and I just run my hand down the back of his head, and he jumps.
Yeah.
He turns around like he was ready to punch somebody, and he's like, "Dude, I almost went live."
I don't mind joining the women's club. I don't like to be touched by dudes. There's a certain line that I'm never going to cross. Then I turned around and look what I saw. A guy in a mullet I didn't recognize with white gloves on.
You don't know that that's true, because you get old and you need help. I'm going to hire a guy to help you.
No, never happening. Ooh. I'm going to Jamie's masseuse. That's the person that's going to help me. I know he's got a hot babe that's, right? Or is it a dude? Am I not allowed to say that?
Wow,
did I just
finish line, and there you go, tripping right at it.
Oh, I can't say. You see, so you can't say hot babe anymore, right? People don't like that.
No,
sorry,
like girls,
I take it back.
You can't do that either.
The ugly old lady that gives you a massage. I can't wait to meet her.
Massage people are their own people. They're men and women. There's no. You're making it sound salacious.
What world are you living in, lady? Yeah. All right.
I'm tired of them winning everything, to be honest.
She keeps saying that. Saying that. Yeah.
I'm gonna move over. I'm gonna move over a little bit. You might be getting hit in the back of the head.
Tired of that.
So the other thing that I want to mention, and I want to bring up the state legislature. You went up and spoke to. You got all duded up, man. He had a suit on. He had mousse in his hair. He looked like a professional. He wasn't wearing his. Did you have sandals on your feet? Were you wearing your clogs?
No,
you had shoes on.
I had shoes on.
Wow.
Yeah, I had shoes on.
So the first thing I want to say is I have the utmost respect for Joanne Semmer and what her family has done for the community and what she's done for the different organizations that she's run. And she's on the board at the Mosquito Control District. And I know there's a thing going on where the county might take over that. I just want to say that I mean, I love Joanne. She does so many great things, and she really means well 100% for the community. And they're in a bind right now. The county might take over that, and the voters will have to decide if they're getting enough service with this mosquito control district that they're paying taxes for on the beach, or if they're going to get better service for more. Your taxes are going to go up if they merge it, and you'll get a chance to vote in 2026, most likely. But I just wanted to say that. Now, Steve Johnson, also on the board, I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. But Joanne, I totally have the most respect for her. Yeah, that's just my opinion. And so, the county might take over that, and that's a whole different thing. But you went up there to talk about third-party inspectors. That was your first thing out of the gate. Like, you had an issue with the folks dying on the beach because the pool pump was put inside, and that was a third-party inspector and some other things. So there's been some back and forth with some folks about that. How do you think that went?
Yeah, again, I think the people thought that I was trying to get rid of third-party inspectors for people, and that is not the case. What I was asking about or advocating for was get an extra layer under a state of emergency for those people that, one, have never either probably built a house, wanted to be involved in building a house, and most are out of state when they're down here in Southwest Florida when it comes time for things to get rebuilt.
But if they come from out of state, do they have to be licensed in the state?
No, and I'm talking about the homeowners, not the inspectors.
Okay.
Yes, the inspectors have to be licensed in the state. That's not the issue. But when there is disaster, there are some people that will do anything for money, and those bad actors, unfortunately, when you find out things, it's too late in sometimes. So, whether it's people have lost money, in this case, I'm not saying that was the reason those people lost their lives, but obviously something was done there that wasn't properly inspected, and it could have been done after. We don't know when it was installed, none of that. But my point, we've all heard stories of people that have been taken advantage of one way or another. And when you take our building official out, what got me going on that is then people automatically come after the town. Well, why didn't the town do something? Well, the town didn't have anything to do with it other than issuing the permit. We didn't inspect it. Our building official didn't look at it. It was signed off on third party. So my pitch to them was, is there a possibility to do some sort of legislation to add another layer of having our building official? So if our building official, what's wrong with having another set of eyes? They are the only ones in our case, the only ones in the town that can really sign off or make changes. They're when it comes to building and the Florida Building Code, they're above the town manager. Yeah. The town manager can't direct them.
Well, let me just ask, because I heard you say that. I saw some people kind of going back and forth, and they were saying, does the town have, would that slow things down? Is the town set up to be able to do that?
It's possible, but I'll tell you, I've talked to a couple of builders who at first, right after the storm, when our permitting was a disaster, they got third-party inspectors at a cost to the homeowners, which could be anywhere from $5,000 on up. It could cost. So they were paying extra so that they could expedite this process, or so they were. Well, now that the permitting process has been alleviated, people are still saying you need to get a private, and you don't need to. Our building official can do it. So there were people after the storm that were gouging their residents or their customers for something that they didn't need. Not saying that they did anything wrong. If someone's willing to pay for something, so be it. But to me, it was just, if the town is going to be looked at, whether it's from FEMA, whether it's from the state, whomever, if we aren't allowed to at least go in and look at something,
right?
Why should we bear the brunt of the responsibility if our building official didn't have a chance to look at it?
Yeah,
that's all I was getting at.
So people know this is a state law where
Yes.
There's third-party inspector. You can hire a third-party inspector by state law, and that's just as good as the town's inspector.
Yes.
And the thing that causes a fuzzy line is somebody can sign off by affidavit. They can do by affidavit where somebody can claim they went in there and they didn't, and that was where it kind of gets fuzzy. When the town inspector goes in there, the town inspector goes in there, the town's on the hook for it, and it's his job that's on the line for it. There was some fuzziness going on where with certain people, not all of them, most of them are above board and they don't want to get caught or lose their license, but other people just do it for the money because there's so much money involved in it, especially after a storm. But there's so many inspections involved and so many things to look at that one guy can just come in, third-party inspector, and say, well, okay, I'll just sign an affidavit that all these things were inspected when they never went to the house.
Well, that's the issue, right? Or you have people come from out of town that are doing work that aren't. We had someone arrested on the island. 1 or 2 people arrested after they were warned you can't be working here without without being a Florida contractor, and they were actually arrested. So by the state, not by the town, but by the state.
Right.
So it's a serious thing, and I don't see that there's any harm in it. Maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. But again, it was reported by some people, or got how things when they get in the stories, people like I always tell everybody, you could start with a glass of water on the south end of the island, and it's a water tower by the time it gets to the north end, the Coconut Telegraph, the way it works. No way was I saying we should get rid of third-party inspectors. That was not what I was saying. I was simply advocating to get, at least under the state of emergency, a second layer of eyeballs on each property. If that means you got to get more people after a disaster.
You think that was
so? That's what that right. That sort of was where I started with the question: is does the town have
I think we're caught up now, but
in a state of emergency.
Well, the staff can only do what council directs, right? And I think it's been very straightforward.
Would you be able to put in a thing like when there's an emergency, we're able to hire more inspectors to do that? Like, is that something that could be done?
I mean, I think I don't know if that's a state mandated thing, but that they would come in and say, you as a municipality have to hire 5 inspectors based on this.
No, but I think people's complaint was that they can't, if they're waiting on the town and the town doesn't have enough inspectors, if that's then they're going to these third party people and then they want to get it through. They don't want to wait for a second pair of eyes if those eyes aren't available, if those eyes are too busy.
Sure. You know, and it's hard to, I could just only talk about what we've gone through, right? Right after the storm, we didn't have the staff to fulfill the amount of permits that were coming at us.
Right.
We knew that. The state had gave us a few, but you know, it takes money and it takes time to do that. This council has directed staff, whatever you need to do to ensure people aren't waiting for permits, because all the staff is paid for by the permits.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you have enough staff to
do
fulfill,
the permits,
the work. And if the money's not coming out of the general fund, it's coming from what you're paying in permit fees. If we have to have more people, get more people. And I think this council has repeatedly given direction to Andy and staff to do what you need to do to make sure we're not getting emails that permits are being held up for lack of staff.
By the way, anybody in the audience wants to ask questions to the mayor, that's why we're here. We're going to have a question in a second.
There's a few. Are you going to continue on?
One more thing I wanted to add. Let me think if I can remember what it is now, Dan. You interrupted me like that. Oh, God. No,
sorry.
The thing about
the drill by now.
God, the third party. What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about I was up there talking to the
third
National
party
Resources.
inspectors, and I'm having a
It'll
giant.
come back to you.
The whole thing in the gym this morning is just making me flabbergasted. But I totally lost it.
A couple of the
we'll
other things we
on.
talked about up there. Another one was about
come back to me.
how the town or municipalities don't have. And they were specifically, they weren't talking to us directly, but they were talking about in Sarasota, they had noticed a crane that didn't get taken down before Milton came, and it didn't come down. Thankfully, nobody got hurt, but they were talking about legislation. How can they force someone, or how can they make it easier or make it have a little more teeth for people to, so I chimed in on that, and I agree with them 100%, but it's not just before the storm, it's after the storm.
Mhm.
You know, when we put out an emergency order to have Connex boxes moved 3 days or 4 days before a storm, if they're not moved, we don't have the ability to go in as a municipality and physically remove things.
I remember.
Like that. So they're going to look at.
I remember. Don't let me forget again. So what I wanted to mention was
Hit the brakes.
Albert DeAmbrose mentioned that in Collier County, I think it was Collier, they have a specific thing where everybody's inspectors, workers need to have a resume or something. I mean, it was some kind of strict thing that maybe the town of Fort Myers Beach didn't have, but I thought it was a great resolution to it. He made it seem like the town didn't have it as strict as checking up on these people. And I just thought maybe that would help out, because I think in time of an emergency, like a hurricane, that's probably not so much that they need the third party inspectors now because you guys are caught up, but in a time of a hurricane, maybe.
Well, most of our officials come from Jacobs.
Yeah.
And you know, Jacobs is a large firm that they work for Estero or Bonita. They've been doing a great job since we were able to bring them on. Oh, got a question. It's buzzing. All right, come on in.
God. Sit down.
Have a seat.
Tell us. Oh, I know who you are, but tell us your name.
Yeah. Okay, hi. My name is CJ Lopau.
You gotta hold it up. Can't hear you.
My name is CJ Lopau. I've owned on the island for 25 years. I've lived here for 9. I've become a walker. Got a little chubby, so I've been a walker. And I caught Dan the other day on my walk, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm here." I'm like, "It's time to ask the question in person." I didn't know I was going to be on. I'm a hot, sweaty mess. I'm 4 miles in.
Yeah.
So
for you.
my question is, before I say that, you're doing a hell of a job. I think you're doing great.
Thank you.
It's a thankless job. You too, Megan. It's a thankless job.
I feel like there's a butt coming.
No, it's not a but.
Yeah, right?
It's an and. It's an and. Everybody, the women's club, everybody sticks together on this island. They do a wonderful job. My and is for Andy Hyatt, actually. I know he's responsible. I asked you this last week. Now that I walk all the time, and we bought those Sandboni machines, I asked you about that. Can we clean the sidewalks, not the streets, 5th and Crescent? I have to walk into the street half the time. So with all the blowing sand, that would be wonderful. Second, can you have Andy give you an update? Because I know we have some money for beautifying the island. We have so many projects going on that you have to worry about. Is there any way that he can give you an update when you come here on Sundays to say
Sure.
the next project after Times Square, which looks awesome, Old San Carlos looks awesome, how we can start moving down the island besides the north end here to kind of beautify or put some sort of, what do you call it? That fake grass so it doesn't blow into the streets down as they start building parking lots and whatnot, that we can keep beautifying the island as we rebuild over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, I'll ask. We have asked him about that. And then obviously Helene and Milton came on. But as you probably know, we have an interlocal with the county to take care of Estero Boulevard. They gave us the funding to be able to do that. That was set before the storm Ian hit. So that's still in the works. But I agree with you. It's time and we've not that long ago, we discussed it as a council with him about it's time to start beautifying Estero Boulevard as you come down. So I'll get an update from him. Got a loud motorcycle backing in here, so it might be, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'll ask him on Monday or Tuesday at our meeting to see if we can get an update.
Yeah, I know it's not their top priority, but it is important to residents here that we don't have to look at brown, dirty sand constantly as we're walking around. It's like we want a beautiful place to live too.
Yeah.
As all these commercial projects are getting taken
And I
off.
believe the last update that they were working with the garden club. I don't know how far along they are on that, but I'll get an update on Monday or Tuesday.
Now I have a question for you because you're walking. So when I was riding the bike, I haven't done it in a long time. There was a couple of sections of the sidewalk, which is not the town's right? The sidewalk are not yours to take care of.
Not even Crescent is not ours.
Crescent is ours, yes.
Okay,
but on Estero,
but that's so what you were talking about on Crescent. There's a couple sections that the sidewalk is missing. Those are in projects to be obligated to FEMA. Again, this is could we go out there and just have someone do it? Sure. Do we want to get reimbursed for that work because it was damaged from Ian?
Right.
Yes. So that's
okay. Good to know.
It's not an
is
excuse.
Estero
we're waiting for
still
obligation.
got some missing pieces?
Just on the north end, but are we responsible for the north end?
Yes, North Estero is the towns.
Okay, so there's a couple there, but I mean, you can kind of walk because it's not as busy, but it's like right down here in Crescent. You got to go onto the road where everybody's taking a left.
through that's one of the projects that we have through Tidal Basin, our disaster recovery firm that we hired.
How much money is the town waiting on?
I don't know what the total. I think we've received we had 120 or 119 million somewhere in there that we were still waiting on. I think last report I just saw from Andy, we're up to about 21 million of that has been obligated.
Well, here I'll put it on the national, wherever we are now. I volunteered once to, like, if you need me to run the Zamboni machine, I'd have to be insured. You can see the queen of
they were out this morning too. I saw them this morning at 4:30.
Sidewalk?
No, they were in the street this morning, but
the sidewalks. Okay.
yeah,
I
that
don't
machine
walk
was
the street.
purchased for the sidewalks to be able to go on the sidewalks. But they were, and again, I don't know if he did the sidewalks. It was 4:30 this morning when I saw
It
him
may be a
running
trivial
at
thing, but
5:30
for
or
all the
whatever.
walkers here, you don't want a lawsuit happening, so it's all good. Sorry,
No,
I made
I understand.
your thing
Yeah, there's a
all
few
sweaty.
spots on Estero Boulevard that are missing the curbing too, and I know the county's waiting for their
We had
obligation as
tons
well.
Tons of construction, so I get it. I just want to say thank you again. You're doing a hell of a job.
Thank you.
It's a thankless job for everyone, and everybody has to be patient. But October,
Yeah,
I'm like,
everybody's working
just
hard. Every
put the
council
sand
member,
in
every
that
staff
corner. It
member,
drives
everybody's
me
working
nuts.
hard.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. So the town's waiting on 120 million,
And then
or even if
give
they're
or take
waiting
a
on
little.
100 million.
Yeah.
So the projects, they have to wait. So whatever's under that
Yeah. So
has to wait.
Yeah. So how it works is if you start a project before FEMA obligates it, you no longer get funding from them because they've got to go through the inspection
How long does
process.
it take for it to get obligated? It's been 2.5 years.
It's my understanding there's still things in Mexico Beach that haven't been obligated from 6 years ago. So I don't know. There's really no time frame on when there's a lot of inspections and a lot of paperwork, just like everybody else has had to go through. So if you start the
So
project before
things
it's
just
obligated,
have to wait.
well, and it also comes down to money. They don't just give you a check. I mean, emergency funding like the beach berm and stuff like that was money that came to us right away. But usually you have to outlay the capital before you get reimbursed. So you have to have the money to do a project even after it's obligated before you get reimbursed for it.
But you can't even outlay it before it gets obligated.
Correct.
Okay.
You can get it all ready to go. You can have shovel ready projects where you've put it out for bid because you have to submit the number of what it's going to take to do whatever project
Right.
you're wanting obligated from FEMA for.
But
their
if you
PA
submit it
systems.
now and you don't get the obligation for another year, the price could
It could
change
change, and
too.
you got to go back out for rebid.
So
right?
real quick, Dan. I noticed there were 4 lights on the bridge.
6.
6 lights on the bridge on the north end of the bridge. So we're making
And then
progress.
there's one on this end down here. That
Yeah,
I
I
saw this
saw it.
morning.
So what's the latest on that?
We got an email from the PIO at FDOT the day or two ago, obviously letting us know that 6 lights were able to be repaired. They're going to continue to work on it. So in their plan, those lights are going to be redone. So
Sure.
they're trying to just redo the lights that are there, or get the
Mhm.
lights there that are working, because it's going to be a little bit before they get there. They're not going to take those poles down and put new ones up. That's coming in.
But the information I got was they were looking for funding for temporary lights, which is totally not accurate, right? Because they're on.
Well, the funding could have been to hire the electrician to fix
Oh,
whatever
but
was
they're not-
broken. But
All right.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
there's some lights
They-
up
they
there.
got some
it's not a
lights turned
town
back on.
thing.
Stop
So
complaining.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come off like I was
But
complaining.
I think between our meeting and then I reached out to Representative Botana, who reached out to FDOT from the state side. I mean, we got some lights on.
Yeah.
It's better than no lights, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
And so,
they're
by the way-
being responsive, which is good.
By the way, everybody, we looked out our bedroom window. Well, not together or anything like that, because I sleep on the couch. But I was looking out the bedroom window at night, and it was the lights. We got newly installed lights on our street. Like, they're so bright. It's
You could
crazy.
do surgery now in the middle of that
I'm
road.
like, we didn't need new lights, and they're putting new lights on our
Yeah.
street.
Well,
You can't even get lights on the
I know.
boulevard.
Trust me, I have. There's nothing I can say when people are like, when are we going to get lights? Short of going out there with a shovel myself and putting them in, I don't know how much faster we can get them to move.
I mean, maybe you should start a ticker on how many days it's been. Because
Well,
it's been 6 years.
We've requested FPL to come in and give an update to the public as to time frame, where we're at. They're back out here pulling conduit again. I saw them this last week. They were back from wherever, but
It's crazy.
So the last conversation Andy had with them related to me, I wasn't in the meeting, but Andy was in the meeting with staff, was they were waiting on there was a holdup with an FWC permit that they couldn't get. So that it sounds like they've got that permit so they can commence work again. But as you know,
Government inaction.
anything that has to do with
Right.
any project on the island has to be signed off on by FWC. So it sounds like and it wasn't from the town side, it was through the county side with the crosswalks or something. So I don't know.
All right.
Hopefully we're moving forward.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you real quick about some real rapid fire stuff here.
Bring it on.
Bay Oaks going to open when?
From as much as I do, there's no set date on it yet. It sounds like the insurance company has taken over the project, which, what does that mean? It's the first I've ever heard of something like that. But
Jeff said that he probably meant the contractors. Is that what he meant?
well, no, I know the insurance company was in and they were looking at, because it's been a repetitive loss now. I mean, it's happened 2 or 3 times with the storms we've had. So I would have to ask Andy. He and Jeff had that meeting with the insurance company. I wasn't in it, so I don't have all the details. I can only go by what Jeff has reported.
Yeah, and so he also said you're waiting on the deposit, I guess, of the $4.2 million that you're getting from the CBDGR funds.
Mm-hmm.
But that, and then Karen, thank you, Karen. Karen corrected that it's not just for Bay Oaks; it was
Correct.
for
Newton Park.
the
Yeah.
park
It's all basically park and recreation
and the
stuff.
pool.
And the pool's
pool.
included in
Mhm.
that. Redoing some of where the temporary town hall sits now. But yes, it was Newton Park as well. And then some of the other CDBGR funding was for water infrastructure, stormwater, water tower, that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
my phone's been blown up this morning. Evidently somebody made a post about CDBGR funding and we didn't ask for enough. And
Oh
that
God!
person maybe
please.
doesn't completely understand the process. But if you actually look at when they vote on
I'm
these,
going to make a couple of
there's-
guesses off
there's a
there
hun-
about
there's
that.
like I mean, it's a very specific, the funding is very specific and it's more than one round. It's not like there's going to be one round. Everything I've been
Right.
told about it, there's going to be 3, 4, 5 rounds to go back
Yeah,
for money.
and to be honest with you, I'm surprised you even got $4.24 whatever it was $1 million of that funding, because it's
Well,
almost like
70% of it has to go for low to medium, and the town of Fort Myers
Housing.
Beach doesn't have that.
right. You're never going to have.
Sanibel doesn't have that.
Right.
So the lion's share of that money, when people see 1.1 billion, not all of that funding is eligible to come to the islands. It's just not.
Right.
So, I mean, you take that out, that's not a huge chunk of money. That's
Yeah.
a huge chunk of money or not a huge chunk of money in comparison
Left. Mhm,
that's left
mhm.
over. So, yeah, I mean, And how they do it is you submit your projects, and then your projects get ranked.
Yeah.
And then they vote on them based on whether the committee votes on it, and then it goes for approval to the commissioners. So the fact that we were able to get as much money as we did, I think the staff did a pretty good job working with Tidal Basin and getting projects. Again, they've got to be shovel-ready projects. Nobody's going to give you money for something you might do a year from now or 2 years from now. It's got to be something that can be repaired or can be done right away. So those are the projects that are ready to be done. If we can get funding from that, and now we don't have to wait for obligation to try to build some of it back. So, I mean, the rule of thumb of what I've learned is after disasters, you ask for funding from every place you can ask for it, and whichever one comes through first, then you don't have to wait for the other ones. So that's kind of the policy everybody's going with.
Before I ask the last question, is anybody here from Real Tales to talk about the event? We're going to talk about the event. You haven't seen? Okay, if you see anybody from Real Tales, we were talking. They have a fundraising event next week for animals, which everybody loves to help out with. So we were hoping to get them on before the end of the show. The other thing,
rapid fire.
Yeah,
these aren't rapid fire.
No. The other thing I wanted to bring up with you was that this state administrative law judge we've had one round of meetings, and Laola was on the list, and the Quickie Bikes was on the list, and a couple others. And the judge has pretty much, I felt like it was low hanging fruit, ruled in the town's favor. Quickie Bike Rentals has to go. I think there was like a dumpster or something at Himmelstein's place by Sea Grape where they're building the furniture.
There's Connex boxes.
They have to go. And there was one other that you won. I thought there was three.
I've only heard of two so far.
Okay, so the thing, folks, that's really interesting is that Tom's attorney, Amy Tebow, I hope I said that right. She submitted her.
I don't think you did.
Tom's the only one that came to the hearing with an attorney, and she's freaking brilliant. She's really threaded the needle on this. Again, let's forget for a second what FEMA says, but she's threaded the needle on whether it's a RV or whether it's a structure. It's actually something on wheels that he can get off.
Well, it's something, I think and I'm no lawyer, but I think from what I've read, it's not a structure. It's more akin to, it's more like an RV, but it's also not an RV. It's really not just, it's something that has not been defined.
She called
by
it unique.
FEMA.
Yeah.
So it's a unique sort of thing. So that,
if you want to read,
I don't know where that leaves you.
If you want to read the order that she submitted to the judge. Now, this was one of the ones where the judge said, hey, do you guys want to submit an order? And then the town gets to respond. And she did. And it was like, I was talking to Tom at Laola about it yesterday. I was like, wow, I mean, I feel like you have a chance. I feel like you have a fighting chance with this judge. I don't think FEMA cares. Like I've said that from the beginning. I don't think FEMA will care one lick what the judge says, but the judge has been kind of leaning toward the town, but he's never read an argument like this, which makes it more interesting. There is some good points. And so, I mean, how do you see it coming down just for poo-poo's sake? We're just shooting the breeze. You, me, and our 9 listeners. Like if the judge rules in favor of the town for this one, are you going to appeal?
Well, if they rule
I'm
in favor
sorry.
of the town,
I'm sorry, Tom, not the town.
Oh, I don't know. I have to see what the order is, but we've been instructed they have to go. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. Now, again, I one of the things I brought up in Tallahassee, I was fighting, and again, some people want to make it about one business, and it's not just about one business. It's about residents and businesses. If I've always been a proponent, if something is written down doesn't mean it can't be changed, right? Doesn't mean that you can't look at there's another way, or technology evolves every single day. You bring your computer home from Best Buy and it's outdated the minute you take it out of the box because things move so fast. To me, it's very short-sighted for anyone, whether it's FEMA, municipality, state, whoever, to not at least look at ways to be able to do things that are outside what has normally been done. And if you don't do that, you're just as much of a problem.
Dan, but you're waiting 2.5 years to get money from FEMA. You think they're gonna take the charge and looking at some new ways to look at new stuff?
We'll find out what the.
I hope so, but I just think.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to rule or how they're going to rule, but
I just don't see that being happening.
I think the town has done a good job of fighting for residents and their businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll continue to fight for them. And people,
but you're between a rock and a hard place right now.
People want to look at that as you're trying to benefit one person or another. It's not about one business. I mean, I know Tom like everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He tries to do things,
Yeah.
you know, he tries to, if something doesn't work, he doesn't, you know, he tries to find another way to do it to fit within the rules, and he shouldn't be punished for that. I mean, now
So-
at the end of the day, we'll see what the ruling says and we'll move on.
If so, maybe you can't answer this because it's prognosticating, but if they rule,
Mhm.
rule for La Ola, then can the town, so how's that going to fit between the town and FEMA? I mean, is the town going to say, hey,
Well,
this person said it was okay?
Again, I don't know what my guess, and this is just my personal guess, has not been discussed at council. My guess is if for some reason they didn't rule in the town's favor, I would think we would probably go and do everything we legally can do to show that the town is in the right by doing what we're doing, whether it means appeal, whatever that means. But I would think that we would exhaust every option that we have to make sure that.
so let me take it one
You
step.
can't really argue. Can the town argue that if the argument stands that what Tom has there doesn't fall under any of those descriptors? How can the town argue something different?
Well, all
like
the town
against FEMA.
all the town can argue is that something is or is not in compliance, right? If it's not in compliance, the town's going to argue.
But if it's not
that
been
not in compliance.
defined, how do you? I mean, I think that's the argument. If it's not a defined kind of thing,
we'll see what DOA says on it. I mean,
Right.
we'll see what they say. But I understand your point. It's
So let me ask you this.
like it's a unicorn.
So we're just
there's a lot
yeah.
of things in our code that which we were trying to start going through before the storm hit, and we're continuing to do now. Definitions need to be updated on certain things. When they were done 25, 30 years ago,
Right.
again, things have changed. You
Right.
got to update your policies to
So
meet. To stay with
we're
the
just
times.
speculating amongst us girls here. So let's say
People.
that
Just people.
please with the politically correct. Tomorrow, politically correctness goes out the window, everybody. Yeah.
Just
So
people.
yes, thank you. So what I was going to ask you was, let's just speculate. Please play along, Dan. It's just a
Okay.
game
I'll do
here.
the
We're
best
just
I
playing.
can.
Okay. So let's just say in a far off land somewhere, there's this beach town, and the judge rules that this business can stay, and then you get a call from FEMA, and FEMA says if that business doesn't go, you're going to be kicked out of the National Flood Insurance Program. And when that next storm hits, those big black trucks aren't coming. What do you do as the mayor?
Well,
Call a lawyer.
I don't know how FEMA would react one way or
I
another.
didn't know. I told you how they're reacting. I
Yeah.
told you.
Well, that's a hypothetical.
I know it is. It is. I know, but we're just playing along.
I-
It could never happen.
Knowing me, what
You're
would
a
I
leader,
do
Dan.
in
You're a
in
leader. What would you do?
in a hypothetical, well, I'm going to fight like hell. That's what I'm going to do.
For who? For what?
For the ruling. I mean,
Okay. For FEMA. Because
no,
you want to.
I'm going to see. This is
But
why it's
that's what
hypothetical.
I know, but it's a state judge ruling in favor. They could rule in favor
They
of a
could.
business, and then
Nobody knows
FEMA
what
can
that
say to
means,
you,
right?
listen, I'm giving you a solid right now. I'm calling you ahead of time. If you don't remove that trailer, your people are getting kicked out of the program, and those big black trucks are never coming. What do you do?
Well,
What would you do?
I think I just told you what.
No,
I would do.
I must have missed it then.
I just. Well, I don't know how much I could do.
Would
I
you
mean, I
go
don't
in
know-
there with a trailer and make the town pull it out?
I don't know that we could legally do that.
Okay.
You know, I don't. We have to be, and one of the things that we've asked for in these cases is that the town can abate it, that we can go in.
Yes.
And the two rulings that have come
Yes.
out have said you have till March 1st to come into compliance.
Right.
We'll do a follow-up hearing
Right.
on the 4th. If you don't, if you
But what
haven't
you- but you-
complied,
but
then
you-
the
But
town
you're
can then go in
asking
and
him
take
to.
care of it.
He's not a lawyer.
But what
So-
I'm also telling you is something that could happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
I guess there's a lot of things you could do. You could, in this situation, you could talk to the business owner and say, listen, this is what's coming. I mean, there's going to be a lot of heat on you.
Okay, so we'll role play.
So, here we go.
We'll role
Oh
play.
my lord! But this
I'll
isn't
be the-
the
I'll be
only.
the business owner.
But this
the guy
isn't
that
the
gets freaked
only
out by someone
thing.
touching the back of his head.
Listen,
now he wants to
I
role
know.
play.
I'll be the business owner. Yeah, I have property rights, Mr. Mayor.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't, if you come in and hook up to my stuff, I'm going to sue the town.
Well, again, I don't know that we legally could do that unless
Okay.
they rule in favor of us to be able to do that.
I
So,
hear what you're saying. I mean, in a
it's an
perfect
uncomfortable
world,
situation.
But
yes,
it's
it is,
also
100%.
not the only thing. Again, that's not the only thing that got the discount
True.
removed
I know,
either.
dear. You're right.
Well, I know, but
yeah,
when you
it's not
harp
about
on it,
one
and then
business.
everybody's like giving him crap about this one issue,
But if
and
we're
that's
being
not the
okay,
only
but
issue.
if we're being honest with you, FEMA has called La Ola out. They have
They
singled him out.
They have.
They want him to be gone.
They do.
And I love Tom. He's one of our biggest advertisers.
They're the only ones. Or he's really the only one that
It's
one
lighting up
or
over there.
two that have been named actually in a FEMA letter.
Yeah.
But it's
So
not
I mean,
just
it's a
him.
realistic thing. It's people have done work without a permit, and they're all going to get caught and the whole thing. But this is, I mean,
We're
but-
going.
and
we're
part
going
of it
through
is
the
that
steps we
nobody
can-
wants him to be kicked out. Not you, not anybody that lives
No.
on the town. in the town?
I want people that aren't in compliance, and what we're talking or what you're talking about, and I think what you were saying is their attorney is saying
There's
we
a gray
feel like
area.
there's a gray area. We
Mhm.
feel like we're in compliance is what they're arguing,
Mhm.
and the town is
Well,
saying.
I think they
"There is
feel
no
like
gray
there's
area." No, you're
nothing
not.
for them to comply with because it's not a. I don't want to use the structure. It's not a thing that's been
Well,
defined.
and if these were
It's a
just
unicorn.
if these were just Connex boxes sitting on the ground over there, we
That
wouldn't even
would
be
be-
having this
right,
conversation,
right,
right?
right.
So again, it goes back to the fact that someone tried to spend their own money, try to get innovative, and I don't
Yep.
care if people think that this is me trying to stick up for one business or it's sticking up for all businesses
Right.
because people needed to get
It's
back on their
sticking
feet.
up for innovation.
It's sticking up for thinking outside the box, is my opinion. It's
Yeah.
and then when you get ruled, you get ruled, and people can say that's a dangerous game, and but
Right.
we felt we were doing everything that we were supposed to do, and
Are
going
you
through the process to-
participating
I don't
here?
know. He's just moving on, but
He's like, is there any other
he's
things
selling-
you wanted to
he's-
bring
he's
up that we
selling
didn't cover
t-shirts or
already?
something, I guess. No.
Is there anything else he wants to bring
It's
up?
it's up to him. He's the mayor. I'm just a
went through your
plebe.
paper like you had.
No,
more
there it
he's
is right
looking
there.
for somebody because he
Yeah.
messed up
because
something,
I
so.
want to make sure I promote this event next week. Before it starts. But is there anything? You guys have a council meeting next week, but the agenda. You might have a light meeting for once.
I know.
Might
I know.
be a short
It's-
meeting. I saw the agenda.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
John
not
King is
massive.
back from Hawaii
I believe
today.
so,
He came
yeah.
back yesterday.
I
Yeah,
believe he's back, and he'll be in the building. So
yeah,
we'll see how tan he is, and
yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I'm
Any
glad he got to
other
get away
questions
and
from the
enjoy some
audience
time.
about things?
Anybody else have any questions or
All right.
throw
Any
something at me?
questions from
Tomatoes?
Will
anything?
speeding is a stretch?
Oh.
They don't
Oh.
even. Okay.
Okay.
What?
Nothing.
there
Anything
was
you want to
something else I
mention?
was supposed
Go
to
ahead,
bring
Dan.
up, but I can't
Bring it up.
remember.
Don't forget to promote your business. Right, Tim?
Oh yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
that's what Tim's probably throwing at me. Yeah. If you're coming down to reach out to Island Carts FMB and book your cart, we'll be happy to deliver it to you. And
Dude,
either
you're never
Tim's
doing a
smiling
radio
face
ad. Jesus
or,
Christ. Step it up, man. Have some friggin' life about your business, will you?
wow. Well, your next
Tiki
rental,
Pub, that's
your
right.
next
I got-
rental just went up. No delivery for
I always
you,
thought
sir.
I wanted a
to
yellow
do that.
golf
We
cart, a
do
really
need to
souped
do
up yellow
that.
golf cart. But what would we do with it? I mean, we don't need a golf cart.
the drive around
Yeah.
or ride around on a golf cart because that was good. People
Yeah,
liked that.
that was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
with
was
the
fun.
I
Jan
mean, it'd be
Fleming.
fun to go down some side streets, and
Yeah.
you guys kind of got away from that. I think people liked that.
Yeah.
after the storm.
I
You
got to
guys were
get
going
back
up
to
and
the
down.
bike thing.
Yes,
I
you
had a
do.
couple
It'd be nice to go back, maybe go back and just suggestion again, ideas. Go back and look at some of those old videos and the streets you
Yeah.
went down, and then do
Yeah.
here's 2 years
Comparison.
later.
There's just the
and
one
see what it
street
looks
I
like.
can't go down, but every other
Yeah.
street.
I think it'd be cool for people that aren't here or don't come down all the time
yeah.
to be able to see what kind of progress has
Well,
been
and
made
I need
compared
some
to.
money, so maybe if we can get some sponsors for the bike
Oh, here we go with
rides.
the Africa crap
Oh.
again.
Well, I want to get to Kilimanjaro.
Yeah,
We have fundraisers for everything else.
I know. Why not?
Right.
Take a
I'm
dog.
gonna
Take a
work
dog.
for
A
it, too.
dog
I'm not
that's been shot.
fundraising for it.
Take
I'm
a dog
working
that's
for
been
it.
shot with a shotgun on your back, and you'll raise a lot of money.
There's
It's crazy.
there's a special place somewhere for a person that does
Mhm.
stupid
crazy,
stuff.
man.
Mhm.
It's just crazy.
You know where that place is? It's on Bunch Beach when the no-see-ums are out because they should not waterboard anybody ever.
I think
You
she-
should put them in a tank with no-see-ums because that'll make you go insane.
We should take
it's
that
my-
person that did that and put them in the same cage, maybe with your gym guy this morning, and let
There
him
you go,
let
like
him
a
fight
cage
it out.
match.
Let him fight
Folks,
it out.
if you join the show
And
late,
an alligator.
go
And an
back and
alligator.
listen to the beginning. I mean,
And raw chicken.
I'm just obsessed with the male race. It's just a total let
not
me
to go
down
off on a
today.
tangent, you ever watch that? What's that show? It's got Steve-O on it. They do stupid things. I cannot remember the name of it. Anyway, it's like it was an MTV thing.
Oh.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was it called? Dumbass?
It was
Close.
Close.
Jack.
Jackass. Yeah. That's your
The
name.
reason it popped into my head was
that
the guy was holding onto a stick over an alligator pit with raw chicken hanging
Oh,
out
yeah.
of his shorts.
Oh God.
And the alligators were jumping up.
Dude.
It's like,
Dear, I think that's a great idea for your mother when she comes down. We'll hang her over
Ooh.
an alligator
All right,
pit
thanks
with
for
some
having me. See
chicken
you
hanging
later.
out of her
Wow,
ass.
You're
you were
about to
so
die.
nice, and then you just ruin it.
All right, don't hang up, people. We're going to talk to the folks from the Tiki Pub about the event that they're holding next week. But first, I need to tell you about our sponsors, because without our sponsors, Kim would be bald. She would have nothing to fix her hair, and I've seen her bald before, and it's very beautiful, but it's not as good as it is when she has hair. Dreams are created with Alex King. He has elevated lifestyles on this beach. They do their research and their homework, so you don't have to. They're meeting with builders, design companies, contractors every single week, so you don't have to. Come live your dream here on Fort Myers Beach. Be part of the Coconut Telegraph, where you know everything about everybody's business and they know everything about your business. If you come to Fort Myers Beach and think you're going to get away with anything, you are not coming to Fort Myers Beach, baby. Everybody knows about everybody down here, and Alex King's going to put you in the perfect home, and he's going to install a coconut right in the first floor bedroom, so you're part of the Coconut Telegraph. Give Alex King a call, 239-219-0336. 239-219-0336. Michael Stewart is the first person you want to call after you hang up from Alex and say, I have a new piece of property and I need to build a house that doesn't fall down. You know, because I might want to build that house on Estero Boulevard, and I don't want people driving by my house that falls down. Michael Stewart is a structural engineer. He can design any structure, residential or commercial. He can also design mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. He's then engineered the repairs for Tuna Skin, Shipwreck, Zushi, and many others on this island. You know why? They're all standing tall. You don't want your stuff falling into the drink. Call Michael Stewart right now at 239-292-7670. 239-292-7670. And a big thank you to the Rude Shrimp Company. They are open right next to Norm's Beach parking lot on Estero Boulevard. Lisa walked by today. She was walking her I think that's a German Shepherd that they have at Rude Shrimp, right? Is that a German Shepherd that Lisa has? Just getting her steps in. They're going to be open today. They have Rude Tacos, Rude Burritos, and Rude Mac. And it's very spicy. You like to have the Rude Mac. Beer and wine, a liquor license is coming soon. Come to the Rude Shrimp Company Thursday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to sunset. They'll be expanding hours soon. They have live music today, weather permitting. And it's a beautiful day on Fort Myers Beach, so please come on down to the beach and bring your money, people, because you're all going to die and you can't take your money with you, so you might as well spread it around like I do, buying my mother-in-law tickets to come to Fort Myers Beach so she can come to the Shrimp Festival. And right now, I want to introduce to you the people from the Tiki Pub on Fort Myers Beach. It's kind of on San Carlos Boulevard because they have a huge event coming up. Come on over, folks. Thank you for coming in at the last minute. Just grab either one of those mics. I called your team up this morning and I said, we need to do a last minute promo of the event you're coming up with our friends from the rescue, Guardians of Florida Rescue.
Guardians of Florida Animal Rescue.
Yes, and that's where we met Honey, who we've raised some money for. And I tried to get Diane to bring Honey down today, but she's not ready for it.
Not ready, but she's doing so much better thanks to you guys.
Yeah, it's I saw some video of her. Yeah, saw some video. You guys raised $7,500 toward her vet bills, which are going to be $12,000, which was really cool. I was hoping for $2,000. So now tell everybody about the business.
Tiki Pub is we have tiki boats right down the street off of San Carlos, out of Excursions Marina. It's the best party on the bay. It's a great time. We have 3 boats, a 6-passenger and 18-passenger, and our flagship, which is a 25-passenger. Onboard entertainers, live music, beach cruises, bay cruises, tons of fun.
Okay. And yeah, nice and close with the mic so they can hear you out there. So how can people contact you, and where's your location, and give everybody that kind of info so they can call and
Sure.
schedule right now?
We're located out of Excursions Marina, which is 18450 San Carlos Boulevard. You can find us at tikipubfmb.com, or you can call me directly at Tiki Pub at 239-800-8454.
Now, were you guys around yesterday too for the Putt and Pub?
No.
Okay.
No,
Too
we
busy.
were super
Too busy out on the
yeah.
water. Good.
We're trying to make some money for these people.
Yesterday was a great day to be out there. After
Sure was.
the morning, I was a little worried about the morning when it was
Yeah, I
cloudy,
know.
but it came
Turned
became-
around.
So the event, I'm looking at my phone because I have the flyer. It's January 25th, which
Right. This Saturday.
oh, it's next Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was during the week, but good. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. What's it going to be about?
It's going to be amazing. Diane's going to be bringing dogs and cats that are adoptable, fur babies that they've rescued themselves and nursed back to health. We're going to have a major fundraiser for them. We're looking to raise a ton of money. There's a puppy kissing booth. Who doesn't want to go to a puppy kissing booth? I know, right? I know.
I can't.
I know. That's what everybody says.
I went to drop off the check. I was telling these guys, I went to drop off the check to Diane for the money everybody raised,
Yep.
and I can't go in. I can't go in because if I go in, I'm coming out with a pack of dogs.
That's
like,
what we're hoping.
It's just the craziest
Come
thing.
on over,
and
Ed.
I'm looking in the window, like there's the door, and the dogs are right up against the window, the barking. I'm like, no, here, just take the check. I have to go. I have to go. So, are you raising your hand for a reason?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Go ahead,
Yep, it's
repeat the
family
question
and
and-
pup friendly.
No, repeat the. Tom asked if you can bring pets to the event, and the answer was
Absolutely. Yep. Everything is pet friendly. So we'll have all kinds of fun events. We have raffles, we have games. And the biggest thing that we're doing right now is if you book a cruise on Saturday, 100% of those proceeds go directly to Guardians of
Oh
Florida.
wow, that's awesome.
All
And
day.
How
all
much does it
cruises.
cost to rent a cruise to pay for the cruise? How much?
We have ticketed and private cruises. Our cruises start at $49.95 per person.
$49.95.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you come on? Are you going to say anything, or I mean, play along with us?
Well, I'm the husband, so I got to keep quiet.
I see. Hey, I know the feeling. Dude, if somebody said something, did you hear my story this morning? Okay, you didn't hear this.
No, I
Okay,
didn't.
okay. I'm not going to ask you then because it would have just driven you through the wall. Not about any of this. So okay, so they're going to be different booths other than the kissing the puppy thing, which is probably enough. What else are you going to have set up at the
We
event?
have, we're looking actually, we had a last minute cancellation for our food truck. So we're looking for a food truck to come. If anybody knows of anybody that wants to be there on Saturday, we're not charging a dime for it. We just want people there because we have people, tons of people coming to picnic and just hang out at the marina, picnic on the bay, bring your fur babies, hop on a cruise.
Yeah, we need to get on that on our Facebook page. If we could find a food truck for next Saturday for the event, that's 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So it's basically on the way to the beach on
Correct.
the right-hand side. Is it where that big boat is?
It's before that. If
Before
you're
the
heading toward
big
the
boat.
beach, it's kind of halfway between Pinchers and where that big boat is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want people to know about the business or the event? You let it rip.
If you don't know anything about Guardians of Florida, they are the most amazing rescue. They go into the deepest, darkest holes and they pull out these babies and they nurse them back to health. And if you look at some of the stories that they have done, we can't do enough for these people. They are amazing.
Yeah, I went on their Facebook page like an idiot I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, and I started scrolling down and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe people do this
All day, every day.
to these dogs or
Yeah.
these cats. It's like crazy. These people need to be taken to Marcino Motel and shot right on site. I mean,
am
if
with
anybody
you.
gets stuck doing that, it's just bizarre.
It's crazy.
And everybody loves, you can never go wrong with kids and pets, and people just love to help. And knowing that they're giving money to an organization they can trust is incredible because they want to make sure their money's, going something. And watching this honey dog
Develop.
get better as the weeks go along is going to be great.
Well, that's
So,
big thanks to you too.
Well,
for bringing this to
everybody out
everybody's
there. So
attention. Yeah,
it's nice to put the audience to good use.
for sure.
Another thing to add to anybody that adopts at the event on Saturday will receive a free cruise from us.
Oh,
from Tiki
wow.
Pub.
Cool.
And
Free cruise for any adoption.
Yeah. See, the other thing is during the event, we're going to close our parking lot so that we don't have cars and pets and people mixed together. So Pinterest has graciously allowed us to use their parking. So if you're coming to the event, park at Pinterest and walk on over, and we will see you there.
All right. We'll see you guys next Saturday from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I need to have some of those. We'll drop them off here so people can see them. And we appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck, and we'll see you next Saturday.
Thank you so much.
In the parking lot. All right. Big hand for our friends.
Thanks for having
from
us,
the
guys.
Tiki Pub off Fort Myers Beach. And please stop by the event if you can. Thank you guys very much. All right. I think there was one other thing that I wanted to mention, wasn't there? Now it seems to have escaped me. Let's see. Dear, would you like to finish the show here so maybe it can jar my memory? Let's see. I don't think I remember what it was now, but anyway.
You need to take ginkgo biloba or
It's
something.
been crazy today that I can't remember anything. But
Today, it's every day.
all right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you. Congratulations to Bob for living to 60 years old. You pain in the neck. Tomorrow's Bob's birthday, everybody, and he's
Yay! Happy birthday. He had
comes-
a big surprise party last night
his friends
that we weren't invited
Yeah,
to.
what was that all about? Thought we were buddies.
I know. That's why it was a surprise.
And they got a live band for him. If you watched the show yesterday, you saw Bob on the show. So thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's. Big hand for Wahoo Willie's. We'll see you next week live from Margaritaville, and you all have a great week. Bye. Oh, I know what it was. Get out. Drew, come over. We have chicken. I keep saying that. The shrimp hats are now available for the Shrimp Festival. Drew has the shrimp hats. They're $30 each. You can pick up. Huh? Yeah, so you can pick them up. Go ahead. Grab the mic real quick. I'm going to grab 18 of them, I think, at least, right?
Yeah, sure.
Whatever you got.
I got hundreds if you want.
Okay, we're going to grab a
18's
bunch of
good.
these hats. We're going to have them. I'm going to have them at the house. If you want to order them online, I will ship them to you just for the shipping cost and the $30. Yeah, and the Shrimp Festival is March 8th and March 9th. It was so funny. Last year, I brought a bunch of them with me, and I didn't think I was going to sell them all, so I left some in my house, and they sold out here at the last minute. And her mom's coming for the Shrimp Festival. Apparently, her mom's paying half her own ticket, but her mom's coming if you need judges. She was a judge
sure.
many years ago when we had the Shrimp Festival on
for the parade.
Board. Yes.
Yeah, because they pull it from the crowd. So yeah, with judges for the parade, judges for the for our pageant, and also hanging out for the shrimp eaters, right?
Yeah,
keep some people there. But yeah, and then also we're doing the passports too. So February 28th. So the passport, with all the restaurants participating, like Wahoo Willie's here too, right? So it's going to be from the 28th to the 9th. You can eat special Shrimp Festival inspired menu items.
Sweet. Awesome.
And and then so February 15th is when those passports will be available. So look for those too.
All right. So if you want to get a shrimp hat before you leave today, they're $30. All the money goes to the Lions Club, and they do great things for people in the community. So that's all we're doing is just raising money, Drew. We just love to raise money.
Woo-hoo.
And we will ship the hats to you as long as you take a picture when they arrive in your cold town, wherever you're living right now. So thank you very much, Drew.
You'll bring the heat. All right.
All
thanks.
right,
Yeah, I really
Drew
appreciate
from the Lions Club, everybody. That's what I wanted to remember. I'm glad I didn't forget that. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. We're going to be we're going to be on Sanibel Tuesday. It's not going to be a live broadcast, but they are doing their State of the Island. They're going to give an update on how their rebuild is going, and that is going to be Tuesday. So we'll be reporting on that in our Friday newsletter. And our next newsletter will be Tuesday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.